Missed it by that much.
Missed it by that much.
Oh, yes, I remember now. Missed it by that much.
Missed it by that much. And welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and we are going to be going over the IG-2000. Now, this is IG-88's ship, was given to him by Count Dooku. And really quick, if you're wanting to know, is this ship totally overpowered and going to break the game? The answer is no. I did extensive and thorough testing. Now, it does feel a little reminiscent of Bastila. When Bastila came out, she wasn't working correctly, and I said she wasn't that good in my description video, and then she came out and they fixed her, and then she became super amazing. This ship is supposed to be a super awesome attacker and just isn't. I'm going to be brutally honest in this video. I'm going to be very fair and diplomatic, but the video is going to showcase how the IG-2000 falls completely flat in what I think they were attempting to create. Now let's go over some pros and some cons. So the pros. This ship looks absolutely awesome, right? The second is synergy. He's got synergy with bounty hunters. He's got synergy with the breach mechanic, which is very cool. And he's got synergy with future droid ships. That's right. We are going to get future droid ships because they've added that faction tag droid into the game in ships. Also, he regenerates 8% every turn if left alone for health. This isn't just 8% for his turn. This is every single ship's turn. So if there's 4 ships across the way and 4 ships on your side, the 3 plus your capital ship, every ship's turn will naturally regenerate him 8% back up. So if injured but left alone, he'll naturally repair himself. He has an increasing offense that's variable based on how many opponents are debuffed at 8%. He can double tap potentially on his basic. He can stun and target lock in the same shot. He's relatively fast in the speed game at 172 tested, but 176 max. He also, when you combine all of these guys, can bring Slave 1 out of reinforcements, and now Slave 1 can hit up to 6 times with these guys, which is pretty cool. That's kind of a pro for Slave 1, but it's a pretty cool thing. Now on to the cons. His double tap on his basic requires him hitting somebody with breach. So if you do not get breach landed, he's not going to double tap. He's extremely fragile, and he could easily be killed by burst damage such as the geos, which happen to be high-end meta. And his damage output is horrible for an attacker. His basic, with all my testing, varied from 4,000, which is the lowest shot I've ever seen in the game, to a crit for 36k when he double tapped. And if you even add the bonus damage from breach, it was still only around 55k for the very best case scenario on a basic. His special damage on a non-crit was around 17k on average, and when it crit was only around 39,000. And that was a crit, and that was even on a breached enemy, which had decreased defense. So we're talking best case scenario in the mid to high 30,000s for damage, and for a damage attacker who they said would probably be able to replace the TIE Advanced in this lineup, definitely isn't going to be able to do that with the current damage output that it is displacing. All right, let's go over the kit really quick. It's very simple. There's 4 things at work. We're going to go through them, but basically he has 2 abilities. But let's go ahead and go into his crew power, which isn't an ability that he can use. It's just an ability that works in the background. At the start of every turn, each turn, this is every single ship, he's going to recover 8% health and gain 8% offense for each debuffed enemy. So at the beginning of a turn, he's going to look at all the debuffed enemies and gain that 8% per debuffed enemy, and he's going to recover 8% health, the 8% health one time as the next person takes a turn, as the next person takes a turn. And then it says other droid allies will gain half this amount. There are no droid allies in the game, which means droid allies are coming into the game. It also has a breach synergy in his ability, which says while he's active, breached enemies will also have a negative 25% critical chance. Then he's got his reinforcement. It's not bad, although he's not recommended to be in reinforcements. And in fact, he didn't work as well in coming out of reinforcements, in my opinion. I think Boba Fett worked much better coming out. And it says grant another random attacker ally offense up. So he buffs another ally, and then he inflicts critical chance down on all enemies for 2 turns. And then he inflicts target lock on the highest health and the lowest health enemy, which can't be evaded. So he does a little bit of critical chance down and some target lock. That's pretty cool debuffs. And for a debuff team that's combining target lock synergy with the breach synergy, this is definitely kind of a cool thing. So bottom line, he's looks like a pretty cool ship. He's got a really cool kit, but it comes down to he's a attacker, and they said he's a massive damage dealer. So it comes down to how well can his basic and his special do damage in a realistic environment time and time again. His basic is called Exploit Identified, and it deals physical damage to a target enemy, and if the enemy's breached, he gets to attack again. Also, if the enemy's breached, of course, he does that bonus damage that's in white, and so he has a potential to not just hit once, but possibly hit twice with his basic. Now, again, I've seen these basics hitting for as low as 4,000 and getting a double tap on 4,000, all the way up to seeing about 18,000 on his basic when it crits, and he gets that twice if they're breached. Again, there is a caveat. They have to have breach or he only hits once. And even if they're breached, and even if he double taps, and even if it crits, it's still less than average for TIE Advanced. So I'm not sure he's going to be that replacement that we're looking for. And his special, Inertial Dampeners Disabled, which is a mouthful, says he'll deal physical damage to a target enemy, and then he stuns them and inflicts target lock. Now, the target lock's for 2 turns, the stuns for 1 turn. It says this attack deals 50% more damage to breached enemies, and breached enemies have a decreased defense, so it should inherently do more damage naturally, plus the 50% more damage. So this should, in theory, just be a massive, overwhelming blast. But in testing, time and time again, I found 17K on a non-crit to the very, very best scenario on a breached enemy with that additional damage was only around 39,000. Even with his bonus damage that he's getting from breach, the white damage, again, only around 50,000 on those abilities. The regeneration is pretty cool, especially if Houndstooth is keeping people from hitting him. However, the damage output is just, again, something that would keep me from going forward with this particular ship. Now, I want to really quick just show you a couple of battles. I'm going to show them on offense against geos and on defense versus geos, and then on offense versus my WTF team, and on defense versus the WTF team, so you can kind of see them in action. I hope you enjoy the footage. So what do you think? Are you going to go in on IG-2000? I know that for me, because of the damage output, bottom line, that's what he's built for, and he does not do very well. He's a ship I am going to personally pass on. Leave your comments down below as to what you think, and if you like the videos, make sure you like the video so that way I know that you like this style of content, and subscribe so you can see more content. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.